I'm just making a quick video now to answer a question that somebody asked me on Facebook. And it was asked by a young woman, mid-20s, who is quite smart, but she falls on the sort of progressive authoritarian side of the political spectrum. These are people who call themselves liberals, but there isn't anything liberal about them at all. These are people who want to tell you what you can eat, what you can drink, and how much. They want to force you to have health insurance, right? They're all about forcing other people to do things that other people don't want, because if they did want to, they would do it on their own. They wouldn't need to be forced. This is called an authoritarian. It's the exact opposite of a liberal. Some people think that the opposite of a liberal is a conservative. Not true. The opposite of a conservative is a progressive. A conservative is somebody who thinks society is just fine the way it is, and they want to work through society to build up themselves, get rich, develop themselves, whatever. A progressive is somebody who says, usually there's somebody who says, I can't make it because the deck is stacked against me. Society is bad. We have to change society. And they want to progress society beyond where it is. Could be back. Doesn't matter what direction. That's why they're called progressive. Opposite of conservative. Opposite of liberal is authoritarian. It's clear that the people like Rush Limbaugh call liberals are very authoritarian. There isn't anything liberal to them at all, about them at all. Anyway, so the question that was asked was, why? That's all she asked. Why? And it was in response to something I posted on Facebook. And what I posted was, as word for word as I can recall after having one beer, I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I voted against everyone who rainbowed their profile photo in June 2015. Now, you may remember that in June 2015, what happened is that the Supreme Court struck down all marriage laws that made marriage between one man and one woman, or, excluded gay marriage, this sort of thing. And that's where the rainbow came in. I was totally against that because I am a true liberal. I am not an authoritarian in any way. If you want marriage equality, the way you do it is by eliminating state sponsorship of heterosexual marriage. Because the whole point of heterosexual marriage to begin with, being recognized by the state government, is that the government uses marriage recognition, state recognition of marriage, as social engineering to try to come up with ways to get people to get married for whatever reason. I don't want to go into what those reasons are, but that's what it was all about. And then they use something that also shouldn't exist, public schools, to, they make textbooks that say what the marriage is, which normalizes marriage. It normalized heterosexual marriage and said heterosexual marriage is the only marriage that exists, is between one man and one woman, and this is what normal is. And then that's taught in public schools, little kids learn it, and then anybody who falls outside that range is weird. They're a deviant. They deviate from the norm. Okay, so what the gay marriage proponents wanted was to have gay marriage recognized by the state. Now, people could get married, gays could get married anytime they wanted, for whenever, over the, last century or however far back you want to go. It wasn't illegal. It just wasn't recognized by the state. Now, marriage is, as I see it, as an atheist, I see it between the man and the woman. They had to make it regular marriage. They made it between a man and a woman and a government. Before governments got involved, it was between the man and the woman and God, or the church, right? Bringing something external into the equation in order to just sort of give an external recognition, an external grounding of that this marriage exists. It's not just you and I pretending to be married. It's this institution out there that recognizes the marriage, and that institution was the church, and then it became the state, it became both. in some cases, if an atheist like me gets married under law, then it's just the state. But there's some institution recognizing it. Well, the proponents of gay marriage, they wanted state recognition of gay marriage. Why? So that it could go in the textbooks, so the social engineering could force onto other people a new definition of normal through public education. Well, what we call public education in the United States, meaning state education, taxpayer-funded education. I'm completely against that in every way. So I was not happy, and I think it is very much unconstitutional, and I think that it's very much against what was obviously in the minds of the people who framed the Constitution to be forcing states to recognize gay marriage. So I didn't participate in that rainbow thing. And she just asked me why I voted against the people who rainbowed their profiles. So let me show you a video from someone named Jeff Jarvis on a show called This Week in Google.
And I think Facebook, don't you think, Gina, also Facebook made a comment. And by the way, lots of brands did. I got into a little discussion with an old friend of mine from People Magazine years ago, who complained about I forget what the brand was, a bank or something, a corporate float at the Gay Pride Parade. And I responded, I said, no, I find the fact that all these brands have been tripping over themselves to put rainbows up is great, because it says it marginalizes the haters. Mm-hmm. And it says that it is mainstream. Same exact thing for me with not just Univision, which is fairly obvious, not just big, giant, often evil Comcast, NBC, Universal, Behemoth Corp., and also Macy's telling Donald Trump to shut up and go away.
Now, you heard what Jeff Jarvis said right there. He said that rainbowing profile photos marginalized people. Well, guess who got marginalized? I did. He also called the people who were marginalized, like me, haters. It marginalized the haters. How did it do that? Well, all the people who were like the sheep that they are, jumping on board because, well, we'll get to the sheep business in a second. Let's say the people who aren't sheep, who really believe in this rainbow sort of thing, they put that rainbow thing on there. And now they can look around and they can see everybody who didn't put a rainbow on. This is what he means by marginalize the haters. The people who didn't rainbow their profile photos, we now know who you are. We know who you are, and we know that you are a hater. Now, the sheep aspect of this is, we don't want to be marginalized, and we know we're being marginalized, and we see this thing going on, and it's like all my friends are rainbowing their profile photo. I have to go along with the crowd because I don't want to be singled out as being something different, something that they don't like. Right, here's an expression, I like you. Where do you think that came from? It came from, it's sort of a shortened version of, I am like you. I rainbow my profile photo. I think like you. I like you. We tend to like people who are like us. So, there's a lot of people who are jumping on board as sheep to do that, unfortunately. But it so when you take the sheep aspect into the equation, and you realize that there are people who not only are not strongly in favor of the rainbowing the photo and the Supreme Court decision, but we also feel this pressure to conform to the group. And we have to actively push against and withstand the pressure and go against this flow of sheep. We have to be the black sheep going the other way. That is what marginalizes us. It's not just that there was a flip of a coin and some rainbow photoed and some people didn't. No, those of us who didn't, we had to, with some anxiety, not do it and have ourselves singled out and marginalized. That is what he means. It marginalized the people he called haters. And now let's look at another video of Jeff Jarvis.
I'm a little concerned because it's very clear that in the Trump supporters, there's a very strong anti-media feeling, right? They were CNN sucks. They were chanting, and
well, and I actually I wrote a piece a few weeks ago that now more telling than ever, which I argued that is indeed our fault in liberal media. This is another post I wrote.
Post-mortem for journalism.
Yeah, I wrote, this kind of refers back to this, where what I argued was that we in liberal media, and let's be honest, media are liberal, I'm media, I'm liberal. And we're not honest about
Fox
that.
Fox is not liberal. There's
well, that's where I'm going. We in liberal establishment media left a void and a vacuum that was filled readily by movements masquerading as media, starting with Fox News, Breitbart, and Drudge, and many far worse. And it's our fault. We left it there because we didn't respect that half of the country. And my second argument is that we didn't empathize with, we didn't listen to and understand the concerns and the worldview of that half of the country. And as a result, that half of the country said, you never reflect us. Why should we trust you? We don't trust you. You don't understand us. That's our fault. I take that fully on in journalism and media. I actually believe that we should invest in responsible, fact-based, journalistic, conservative media, because the only outlets the conservative side had were Fox News and Breitbart and such. And so what do we expect? They were going to think about climate change and other things, but that was the only real, you're talking about an echo chamber. And so we abandoned half of America. And I take that fully on. That was media's fault. And they don't trust media, and they don't trust media for a reason.
Now, he's talking about this article that he wrote prior to the election. He's probably one of these people who just thought that Hillary Clinton was a shoo-in. He describes himself, or has in the past, on many occasions, described himself as a Hillary Clinton Democrat. Jesus, what kind of person do you have to be to support someone like Hillary? Anyway, he calls himself a Hillary Clinton Democrat. And this video, the second video, the first one was from way back in June. Well, actually, I think it was July 1st of 2015, after the rainbowing, right about the time the rainbowing was taking place. And this last one was the day after the election, when he knew that Hillary had lost. And he hugely disappointed. These people who wanted Hillary to win, they're still, some of them, I work with some people, I overheard some in the break room walking by. They were talking about how so many people are just in mourning. They're in mourning, right? Well, these are the people who marginalized me and called me a hater. It's not just Jeff Jarvis who marginalized people like me by rainbowing their profile photos. It's not just them who called me a racist and a homophobe and a sexist and a bigot. That is what they called. They put us into a basket of deplorables, is what they call us. And this was before the election, right? And now we're looking at Jeff Jarvis. This is after the election, but he's referring to an article that he wrote a week or so earlier, where he's pointing out that he's a journalist. He's a prominent journalism professor, I think. He and the rest of the media have let the country down by being liberal, all of them being liberal, and focusing only on one half of the country as if they have the only valid point of view. Isn't that interesting? The guy who was cheering the fact that he got to marginalize me and call me a hater. Sorry, I just got distracted by some weird thing going on my camera, but he called me a hater And now today he's saying it's just not fair that we marginalize these people. You know, I think we know what's in his heart. Now, today, he's doing some self-reflection because it seems that what was going on with my camera is that the Galaxy Note 5, which because Samsung took my Note 7 away twice, I'm now back to a Note 5. It has a maximum recording time of, looks like it was about 12 and a half minutes. Anyway, sorry for the edit there. Now he's doing some self-reflection saying, you know, we left out half the country. Well, you didn't just leave us out. You shot arrows through our hearts. You mistreated us. It's not that you forgot us. It's not that you neglected us. It's that you hit us across the teeth with a pipe wrench. And you did it repeatedly. Over and over and over again for the last 8 friggin' years. So, Trump was never my guy. I've said that before. There's, you know, somebody, I think his name's Kurt Schlichter, he said on Twitter, or it was in an article he wrote, he said that if Donald Trump was asked what his favorite part of the Constitution is, he would probably say it's the part that goes 77 years ago today, right? Donald Trump, I'm sorry, the guy, in terms of political ideology, is clueless. You know what he is? He's a people person. The people persons make the money, and they get elected. Okay, anyway, this has already gone on way too long. I just wanted to answer her question as to why I said that I didn't vote for Trump. I voted against the people who rainbowed their photos, and I had that very specific person in mind, Jeff Jarvis. So I didn't vote for Donald Trump, I voted against Jeff Jarvis, and I do this in many other ways too, right? These guys on This Week in Google, which is where those scenes came from, they do their advertising. Take a look at my little thing that I've put here to sit my beer on while I do this video. It's called Blue Apron. I learned about Blue Apron by listening to This Week in Tech. This is how they make their money. Let me tell you what I did. When I decided I wanted to try Blue Apron, I searched for other affiliates. Anyone but them, so I wouldn't have to put any money into their pockets. This is another way I vote against Jeff Jarvis. I think it was, it might have been Bill Burr. And Bill Burr is a very good person to listen to. You should download his podcast, the Monday Morning Podcast. He does one on Thursday, but it's called the Monday Morning Podcast. Listen to Bill Burr. He is awesome. And vote for Donald Trump in 4 years.